listening to Hyperdub. Yo, 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 what it is. It's your, crazy Uncle Aunt Veritas, whatever. I don't really give a fuck. Depends on how I'm feeling that day. I guess that makes me genderqueer. I don't know. Or gender fluid. I don't know. Sometimes I look more feminine, sometimes more masculine. Kind of just depends on the day of the week, I guess. I feel like my inside isn't really feminine or masculine. It's more fluid, I guess. I guess that's one thing that, like, you know, growing up the way I did, like moving around so much, is kind of caused my personality to be fluid, to adapt, like, constantly, to like change. But it also taught me charisma. So it's like I have to make friends really quick, right? Yeah. So today I'm staying in a hotel in Colorado. It's in a more of a budget motel, but a little more bougie than the last one I stayed in. And I'm possibly about to do my first mural in this guy's house, so that's cool. Never done a mural. I was like, he's like, how much do you want for a mural? And to be honest, I've never done a mural. I told him, I said, hey man, I've never done a mural. And I priced it the way I did because I'm like, if I screw it up, well, it was free. I said, you give me the supplies, I'll do it for free, but I get to keep them, right? And I'm probably gonna record it, right? I'm gonna have my camera and my tripod set up, so that way when I'm doing the mural, I can record it all and then like speed it up afterwards. So it just looks really cool. You just see it from beginning to end getting painted. So that's gonna be fun. Never done a mural. Second draft of the novel, it's coming along. I want to make it more scary. I've been reading Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, which is a Western horror novel, and it's written in a very neo-biblical fashion, which means it's almost hard to understand, but it's done on purpose, right? And I think it adds to the terror, right? And it's not so much scary and like you feel creepy vibes, so it does it a little bit. It's more like the atrocities that keep happening in the book, but it's done on purpose. It's done for the fact that the idea Cormac McCarthy tries to, portray is regeneration through violence, right? Becoming anew through violence. And I guess I can attest to this, and I'm not advocating for street fights, but I remember the first time in high school I really stood up for myself, right? And I'd done it in the past, like just eventually getting tired and nerd rage coming out, essentially, like just someone had been picking on me. First fight I ever got in, I was like 6, I think, and the kid smacked me and I just punched him. I cried. And we chased each other around. My mom told me she'd beat the shit out of me if I didn't, if I did it again, like if I chased around, ran back and forth, then just stand there and fight. Next time was in middle school and I was getting picked on by this kid. I'm just gonna call him Z, right? And my dad had been in prison when I was in middle school, right? My mom was out doing whatever she was doing. And so, I guess people could kind of pick up on that it kind of caused a lack of confidence when I was younger, not having a father figure, right? And I guess this kid kind of picked up on that. And then one day I just snapped. I don't know what it was. And the funny thing is, like, peer pressure tends to do the opposite for me. Like, I'm also on the spectrum, so peer pressure doesn't really do what it does for me. I kind of do the opposite. I don't respond to it. I'm just indifferent towards peer pressure. If I want to do something, I do it. I don't really care what people think. It's one positive trait. I just don't care. And I guess it's because of also how I grew up. I constantly had to be self-reliant. And you get to a point you don't really care what people think, and you don't really care about what society says about how you should live. You just do what you want. I don't break laws, but I live by my own rules. I do what I want, how I want to live. I don't want to be 60 or 70, and then I start taking risks. I feel like so many people have it backwards, right? They're like, yo, how do you, people have asked me, like, man, you're really brave. How are you able to just put your stuff in a car and leave? You know, you've gone all the way to New York, you've gone to Colorado, coming from Kentucky. It's like, yeah, man, I'm scared too. But I'm scared of being really old and never living. Like, if I die today, I know that I lived. Right? I could die, I could get shot in the head right now, and I'd be fine. I'd die with a smile. I'd say, I lived. I'd look crazy. Yeah, I'd be like, peaced out. But anyway, like, third fight I got in, that was, cops got called. I talked my way out of getting arrested, so that was something. But anyway, like, that guy had just been trying to get a rise out of me, and I guess he thought I wouldn't fight. And I don't advocate for violence. You know, my philosophy is the wise are a great man should be capable of great violence and also peace, and often chooses the latter. 99% of the time you should choose peace. You'll get a lot further ahead in life if you choose peace and using your intellect to deal with things as opposed to violence. It is a last resort, always a last resort. It should always be a last resort. If you take any self-defense class, I will tell you that the best way to win a fight is to avoid one. Sun Tzu, considered one of the greatest strategic geniuses of all time, says that the greatest way to subdue an enemy is without conflict, is without battle, right? You don't have to. You don't want your men to die. You want your men to live, right? A great leader also has compassion for the people under him, but enough sternness to enforce rules, right? Yeah, that's why narcissists make bad leaders. They only care about themselves, and they slowly cause the destruction of everyone around them, including themselves. So, yeah, a good leader has a degree of compassion for the people under him. And if you treat, and Sun Tzu says this, if you treat your men like sons, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. And you must treat your unit as if it is one body. Right? Speaking about military books, I've recently been reading a book on, it's like an old U.S. Army manual on like combat, hand-to-hand combat. I'd always been taught in my martial arts classes to hold your fists like this, as if you're trying to crush a grape. And I understand like a proper stance, but there were some techniques that I hadn't considered, right? Like you can hold your knuckles like this instead, and you really want to keep your wrist straight, otherwise you may break it. And like that, if you were to hit someone in their solar plex, right? My dad always called that the sweetmeat. If you hit someone right there hard enough, it's extremely painful. And the reaction after that is generally that they're going to crumple up in pain, right? Because it hurts. Even if through the adrenaline of, hand-to-hand combat, it will cause you to seize up, most likely. Another painful part, if you're going for a non-lethal option, is right here. Right? It will cause someone to choke. You can do it like this, and you want to have it extremely tight, otherwise you might break your knuckles, and punch right here. Will cause someone to seize up and do like that. Lethal options include punching someone on the Adam's apple, punching the nose like this. You can do what's called a knife hand, and if you tighten your hands like this, right, it causes this to become extremely hard. You can actually punch with this. It's a common lie that now if you hold your hand like this, you're not going to break your wrist. But if you hold your hand like this, you can hit someone on the bridge of the nose like that. Right? And another thing in combat is deception. All warfare is based on deception. Sun Tzu, right? It's always better to have a weapon, right? And it's not even so much for using the weapon, it's for throwing your opponent off, right? Something I always like to do is carry a small lighter with me, right? And the idea is, like, if you throw a lighter hard enough, it explodes. And it's not so much you're trying to hurt someone with the lighter itself, it's that if you smash it on the ground really hard, it's bam, and then they're caught off guard, and then boom, right in the Adam's apple. And you know how I'm gonna do. You fight to kill. So never get in a fist fight unless you're ready to kill someone. Because once the adrenaline kicks in, you're thinking, oh god, I gotta keep hitting them or they're gonna kill me. And your brain, I feel like, goes into a mode where it's kill or be killed. And you must fight as if you're trying to kill. Any armbat. Any combat manual will tell you that. Fight as if to kill. You shouldn't kill people. Don't kill people. That's bad. So, okay, some people deserve it. You know, like Hitler, rapists, child molesters, serial killers, people like that, they deserve to be. Some puppies are too sick to be saved. That's just the way I feel about it. Alright. It goes to the topic of the death penalty, I guess. You know, I'm not really for it, but I do think there are certain cases where it's like, you pass the point of mercy. You no longer deserve mercy, right? But for some people, the worst option is a life sentence, right? I think another factor that should be greatly considered is remorse. Did the offender show remorse after the fact? Was it a crime of passion, i.e., were they caught up in the emotions of the event and it caused them to react in a more reactive aggression way? Fun fact, introverts are lower in reactive aggression generally. They tend to be less hot-headed, generally. I'm more introverted, but I do have a bit of a temper. I try to keep it under wrap, and it really, and again, this is going back to the McCarthy thing, talking about like regeneration through violence, right? I remember ever since that fight that I got in, the real, like, you were slinging each other on the ground, punching each other in the face. I remember, like, he texted me, like, hey, just calling me all these names, and, like, you won't do it. And apparently, and I learned this after the fact, he just intended for us to talk and apologize. He wanted me to apologize for something, and I didn't think I was in the wrong. I thought he was in the wrong, and he was trying to, I was ready to just leave the cards on the table, so to speak, right? Just applying my general philosophy of peace over violence 99% of the time. Except for in instances where violence is your only option, right? Always use your intellect and your speech skill first, right? The greatest men are often the greatest communicators, and if you know how to communicate, you can persuade people, and you can cause them to join your cause, or to believe in you, or to invest in you, whatever, really. Read and write, right? You can become deadly. The pen is mightier than the sword in the modern world. And all great warriors are also poets. But, yeah, it's just like, you won't do it. Just calling me a pussy and all this other stuff. And I got out of his truck, and there were a group of people around him. And I just walked up and swung at him. And, we fought. And then the cops got called. And they caught up after the fight had occurred, and they came up to me. I knew they weren't going to take me to jail. I just had a feeling they wouldn't if I just complied. If I was just like, alright man, take me to jail, put my hands behind my back, and put my hands toward them. It's like, alright man, take me to jail, let's get the shit beat out of me, come on, let's get this over with. And they're like, nah man, we ain't gonna do it. You look like you look like you've been in a fight. I was like, alright, thanks. And they're actually more concerned about my friend. But I'm not gonna, and I don't think I've done anything illegal talking about it. I mean, it's in the past. That happened when I was like 19. That was the last fight I've been in, but I know it caused like a personality change afterwards. It made me become more assertive, knowing I could do it if I had to. I don't like to. It's not preferred. Generally, you'll find the people that can fight are generally reluctant to do so, right? Because they know how intense a fight can really be. But yeah, it's better to listen too. That's another thing I'd say. Listening gets you further. Always listen. Another thing a combat manual will tell you is every opponent has a weak spot. Wait for the weakest moment in your opponent and then strike at their weak part without mercy. Fight to kill, but generally never fight. Know how to. Should definitely know how to fight. If you've never been in one, get into some martial arts classes. And learn self-defense. 99% of it is situational awareness. If you're in a rough neighborhood, don't wear earbuds. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't make too much eye contact. And if you do make eye contact, make strong eye contact. Go into a boldness or don't show any emotion. Be pan-faced. Look like you're going somewhere. Look like you know what you're doing. And if you need to look in someone's direction, look as if you're looking above them, trying to see someone behind them. Right? Stand more assertively. Set your posture right. Look like this. Don't keep your hands in your pockets. Carry a knife. Handguns are too fast. You're more likely to act in a quick temper manner with a handgun. So don't carry one, in my opinion. That's just me. I don't, for that reason. Knife, you have to think about it a bit more. So I don't carry a handgun. Now a rifle or a shotgun, that's different. Maybe keep one in your car. Because it's heavier. You have to think more with that. You can't make it's harder to make a quick decision with it. But it is something that if you point it at someone, they're going to seriously reconsider whatever they're doing. Same way with the knife. And if you ever have to engage in combat with a knife, hold it close to your hip. And hold your left hand out as if to keep your opponent back. And then quick jab like that. Right. You want to position your knees and legs in such a way that it keeps your weight towards the ground, so that you're harder to knock off your balance. And your objective is not to fight with your strength, but to fight with the strength of the opponent. Always assume your opponent is stronger than you, right? And fight accordingly. Your objective is to throw off the balance of your opponent using their own strength. All combat is based on deception. Throw off the balance of your opponent and strike at a weak point without mercy. To quote Cobra Kai or whatever, no mercy. And that's for real. Like, you don't want to fight because then you're gonna get hurt. But yeah, violence isn't generally the solution, though. It's the last option always. I don't like to hurt people. Some people probably deserve it, but let the police do that. It's better to walk away. Regards to like words or whatever and not reacting. Oftentimes you can win in the long run if you don't react. Right? You can take care of problems with your words and your verbal skills and other means. Far better to use that. You also don't stain your reputation. You don't want to be known as the guy that's got like a hair trigger and is ready to throw down at the drop of a hat. That's not a good look. No one will want to do business with you. But you also want it to be known that you are assertive enough and stern enough that you're going to advocate for yourself in a business arrangement. Right? Words are just words. Right? We have view criticism, and I've reiterated this a million times. Criticism without any feedback you can use is useless. Right? A fly provides more value for the universe than useless criticism. No. Criticism without any useful information is less useful than a fly. Why would you react in any manner other than maybe a look at an annoying fly? You just kind of swat at it and be like, leave me alone. Right? You also make yourself look superior when you don't, react to petty things. You just go, that's below me. I don't care. And you just kind of, shrug. Okay. And I'm not perfect. I get it occasionally. I got a little snappy. But it generally works when I was already in a bad mood. And when you're in a bad mood, you need to like remove yourself from the situation anyway. You shouldn't really be interacting with people until you're level-headed. And I know sometimes it's hard because you can't exactly remove yourself from the situation. But if you're the leader, you're expected to keep a level head and be calmer than your subordinates because they're going to look to you, right? And if you're losing your shit when shit hits the fan, what do you think your subordinates are going to do? All right? I'm not saying you can't be nervous. You will be at times. But you need to learn how to hide it for the sake of the people below you, right? Learn techniques, how to ground yourself. Your goal is to keep everyone calm. And if you're the calmest guy in the room, they'll look to you to lead. And shit hits the fan. That's been my experience. And I've directed air traffic, so. Granted, I did it with a crew. But that's not a job if you're a very neurotic person to take on directing air traffic. Even with the crew, I worked at Amazon for a bit, directing air traffic at 3 in the morning. And that will teach you how to manage stress, because you don't have any other option other than to learn how to deal with it properly and how to deal with anxiety and nervousness, right? Granted, the directing air traffic part was only part of it, right? And they were already grounded, right? I mean, we'd guide them in, marshal them in, and then marshal them out, and then direct, utility equipment as well. And then offload the cargo, and then reload cargo. And then eventually they moved me into the warehouse position where they were going to put me in the management. But I declined the promotion because they were like, you're going to have to go above 32 hours a week. And I liked the part-time because I could focus on my business. Right. Looking back, it was a pretty sweet gig. Paid well. I got to practice my Spanish because half the people there were Hispanic, right? And it kind of made me like the cool güero there, right? All the Hispanic people liked me. They're like, socio güero. ¿Tú hablas español? Sí. Mi ex novia es de México. Tú sabes cómo hablar sucio. Un poquito, sí, un poquito. Pero solo una chica. O chico. Yo no sé. They just kind of laugh. Si caliente, tú caliente. No es importante por mí. Si eres una... Y lo siento, mi español es un poquito bracado. No es importante por mí. Si eres chico o chica, tú eres caliente, tú caliente. No mucho es importante por mí. Maybe, there's probably gonna be like a translate part. You can just translate that. Kind of gonna make that anonymous on purpose. It's more fun. But yeah, the mural. Don't know what I'm gonna paint on the mural. Looking forward to it though. Someone's talking loud. Someone sounds heated. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. If you can, I'm sorry. Can't really do anything about it. But yeah, he said that sounds like a sick deal. I'll give you the supplies. I'm probably going to ask for some things that are going to sound a bit extraneous to him, I'm sure. Extraneous meaning unrelated. But they are related, I chug coffee whenever I do creative work. It's just, I like coffee. Balzac, the writer, he slammed like 40 teas a day. Granted, they were a white tea, I think. Richard Branson, that's a guy with ADHD. He's like a multi-billionaire. He drinks a shit ton of caffeine. like a copious amount of caffeine. Like, alright, good lord, he drinks a bunch of tea. He's British, so they drink tea over there compared to coffee. I actually prefer tea myself too. It has L-theanine in it, and it works very synergistically with caffeine, right? It's anti-anxiety as well. It's calming, so I like the effects of tea more than coffee. Coffee's more of a quick burst. Tea's more of a slow stimulating. It's good for riding. Tea's good for riding. It's slower, right? And now, if I'm writing a scene where there's a lot of like combat and like action, I want coffee. So it's fast and intense, and you want it. If I'm writing a horror scene, sometimes I'll like turn all the lights off and like play some spooky music in the background to like, almost create fear in myself, right? I remember it was dark. Yeah, I turned all the lights off and played the Ghost Adventure theme over and over again, like the new one. It's creepy sounding, man. And then I wrote the horror scene. So it's like you want to use like your own feelings to like convey fear in your writing, right? It's hard to write about something you don't have experience about too. So go do some adventures and then write. But write before that. Don't wait till it's a perfect moment. Write, because then when your second draft comes around, you can have the new experience you've gained. And always be reading something. Always be chewing on a book. I think that's all there is to talk about today. This is just a pretty short chat. I'm out here in Colorado. I'm not going to say my exact location, but more in the central area. And I'm looking for opportunities. So I paint, I write, I can code a little bit, I can program, 2 different things. I could do some front end and I could do some back end. I know a bit of Python, I know HTML and CSS. Don't know really any JavaScript, but I'm a fast learner. I'm bilingual, even sprechen Deutsch a little bit. Know a smidge of German just from like listening to industrial and just passively picking up the language here and there when I got the opportunity. Bilingual. I can code, program, I can do design work, it's clean looking. Kind of surreal, psychedelic, and dark, but I can also do lighter stuff. That's what you need. I can do logos, I can design t-shirts, I can design stickers, I can paint murals now. I'm gonna be painting one. And a bunch of other skills, like I've got a shit ton of soft skills. I know how to market things. So if you need marketing advice, you can do that, consultations. I know to write, so if you need some articles written, I've done that in the past. Whatever, really. I can do a lot of stuff. Don't know a whole lot about cars at the moment. Still kind of learning about those. Just for my own benefit, not really to make money. I mean, making money would still be for my benefit, but yeah, the mural, don't really know what I'm going to paint yet. Probably just going to kind of dive into it the way I do with a lot of my art. Kind of have like some passive inspirations, and a lot of my inspiration ironically comes from reading. Because reading creates like mindscapes in your head when you're reading, and you can transfer that to art, visual art. There is no great dumb artist, so if you're going to be a great artist, you also need to be smart. But like I said, this is just going to be a short talk. So if you like what you saw, please subscribe. I do this a very casual conversation thing, semi-regularly. Try to at least. Wi-Fi is not the greatest here, so I'll probably end up uploading this somewhere else as opposed to here when I get a better signal. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about like the list of supplies. Like, you're gonna need coffee and some batteries. Like, that's gonna be like some weird stuff. He's gonna be like, "Why do you need coffee and batteries?" Like, well, coffee is a stimulant, and I use it to, keep myself productive. It's better than Adderall because I don't lose my creativity with coffee, but I do with Adderall. I'm less creative. And I want batteries so I can record the whole thing and turn it into a time-lapse type thing.
or just a sped up, step by step. I'm gonna need a respirator mask, some paint and brushes, spray paint obviously. So I'm gonna do it kind of street style. I'm sure you can see the influence. Like there's like kind of a degree of like, I don't know how to describe it, like street influence, I guess. I mean, I did spend part of my childhood in the projects. It was like Southern Kentucky projects, but still. And then my dad was in prison. I'm not going into all that. There's like a mild influence of that, and then I feel like my knowledge of the Spanish language, that also has an influence. I don't know. You can just kind of see it. I don't know how to describe it. Let me show you a piece.
I sold the original already, but like I don't know if you can see like the kind of Spanish influence to it, right? This might be the thumbnail actually. Alright, that's more of a genuine smile. Yeah, that's that. I think that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, any shares you guys are willing to do. Helps me out a bunch. I love reading the comments, good or bad. I might reply in a smart-ass manner if they're bad. But it's all in good fun, mostly. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe. You're gonna get to 500, and then it's up to 1,000, and I get some of that sweet YouTube money. Won't be a lot at first, but it's only part of it. It is fun to make YouTube videos, so yeah, like, share, subscribe. Without any further ado, guys, this has been Veritas signing off. Hasta lasagna, don't get any on ya. Peace out, guys.